What's going on, everybody? Welcome to World's Finest, brought to you by the Comic Collectors Guild. I'm your host. My name is Jake, and joining me always is my co-host, Lee Lawson. Lee, how are you, sir?
I'm good, dude. We've got a great show, and I can't wait to get into it tonight.
Absolutely. We have a very special guest today coming from Texas in TG Studio 512. We got Tommy Gunn. Tommy, how are you, sir?
Good. I'm going stir crazy, but I am happy. I'm talking to other human beings right now.
I know. I promise we're not like any cyborgs or anything like that. Like some face-to-face interaction is real. We have a very special show. We cannot wait to talk with you about your collection and just about you. And I would love to just get started with that. I guess for our viewers, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and yeah, let's go.
All right. Well, first, Jake and Lee, thank you for having me. I know we've been chatting for the past few weeks, and it's like, do you want to do? I was like, yes. I was like, I want a human interaction. There's so much you could do with YouTube and comments, and I'm like answering every comment on there. And I was like, they do love me. There is other human beings out there. But
it's tough, man, being stuck in these four walls. You know what I mean? Day after day after day. So it's good to be out and about. We're slowly peeking our way and getting out and about.
For sure. And it's like, It's even so hard just to go to the post office to ship something out or buy groceries, and you have to wear the mask, and it's like, okay, stay away from me. But it's like, I've been in this house since February. And like, those are the only places I go to if it's like a post office or buying groceries, and that's it. Today I went out to go pick up some art prints of some commissions that we did, and we helped out a little bit downtown because of the riots and all the graffiti, so we were scrubbing all that stuff out. So it was pretty cool.
Nice, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, we finally get a chance to maybe creep out a little bit. Now, like, you got to worry about getting tear gassed to step out. You're just trying to send the post office or, get an art commission. And, we got to deal with frag grenades now. And
I can just imagine it's like, I want to go home.
Stay in for another 2 months, right, before I freak out again.
It's a crazy time, but the good thing that we have this, like, a community that loves statues and Marvel and myself is like also like anime and stuff. So that we have all this stuff out here to talk about and to show that, and all the cool stuff that's happening, that's going to happen next year with the DC and stuff. So, but by myself, again, thank you for having me. My name is it's Tomás Edwin Hinojosa Vivanco III, but let's just do TG or Tommy.
That'll do. Works for me.
Yes. Yep. So he's like, I am from Mexico. English is my second language. On and off, I came during elementary back to Mexico, went to school back and forth and stuff. But I think in middle school is when I first stayed. Like, it was like, I'm staying, finished school, went to college and stuff. But yeah, Tommy Gunn came, that's my stage name and my radio name. I've been in radio for almost 10 years. I haven't done that in a long time, but in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Nice.
So I don't know if you've ever been there over there.
TCU.
Yes. So it's like, so when I was out there, that's when we started with Tommy Gunn. But as a collector, I mean, I've always loved comics, in a Mexican culture, is like, you're wasting your time if you're drawing, if you're watching TV, or you're watching cartoons. You have to pick up what your parents do, your father. And I am a mechanic. I mean, I grew up doing that, and I grew up in doing sales and stuff with them. But my passion was always comics. So it evolved to what we do. Like I said, it's like we've been indoors since in my house since February, because all the Comic Cons and anime cons that I travel to almost every week have been canceled.
I know.
Did you crack back into any old volumes while you've been in there? Any old perused through any old comics that you used to read back in the day?
I have been going back and reading a few that stood out, like Ultimate's Ultimatum. You never heard of that one? So you have the Ultimate Ultimatum is one of the, like, oh my god, it's like OMGs to the whole comic. Like, all 5 issues.
I have
Oh,
to
wow.
check that out.
Oh, it's one of the, like, there's because in Ultimates you could do whatever you want. They could do whatever
Right.
they want. They could kill a character and later on they'll just bring out another one, you know?
Right.
So this one is like, you see the Blob eating Wasp.
Oh,
And
jeez.
yes, and then Giant Man comes and stomps on the Blob and bites his head off.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're going
Pretty,
that
pretty
route.
graphic
All right.
Ultimates here. I'll have to look that one up then, man.
Yeah, it's very gory and gruesome, but that leads to the like the death of Peter Parker, that it was so emotional.
Oh,
so is this where Miles very first comes into play? Is this
Yes.
kind of leading into that? Okay.
It
Nice.
leads to Miles Morales.
Gotcha.
So those issues have been really good. But
Okay.
yeah, I love Ultimates, and now Ultimates in the actual Marvel universe is 1. So
Yeah, I did know that. So real quick, so we talked about Marvel. Back, what originally comics attracted you when you very first got into them? Were you more of a DC and Marvel guy, or did you straddle both lines, or tell us a little bit about that?
I'm a Hulk guy. Hulk. Number 1 Hulk. But in DC is Batman and Superman. More Batman than it's hard. It is so hard. I like Batman and I like Superman. Like, my whole back is all tattooed with Hulk versus Superman.
that is awesome.
Well, you're
That is
talking
the fight we'd
Superman.
all love to see. Yeah.
So that would be a freaking epic fight, you know, because if Superman has like problems to fight Doomsday, I know the Hulk is up there with Doomsday, you know.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
So
great battle.
it started with the Hulk. Has always been the Hulk. The reason is, in Mexico we used to have a lot of old American TV shows.
I was going to ask if that's where it stemmed from.
Lou
Don't make me
Ferrigno.
angry.
There you
Yep.
go.
Lou Ferrigno, and that's been like my top. I mean, there was Captain America and there was Iron Man, but those were so bad back in the day.
Oh yeah. Like the
Even-
bike helmet.
Yes, and he puts the shield in front of the motorcycle, and it's just
And what a
plastic.
flimsy shield. Yes, I mean, it was terrible. It was like,
Yeah.
what?
It's got a Fisher Price shield and stuff.
Yes, and even as a child, when you're young, I'm from the '80s, you know, so it's like I'm pretty sure I'm a lot older than both of y'all. It's like born in the '70s, raised in the '80s and stuff. And as a child, you watch the stuff and you're like, "Oh, this is awesome! I'm this character and that character." And then now I watch and it's like, "Oh no, I don't want to watch it because it's just gonna tarnish what I loved back then."
Right.
Well, it's funny you say that. So I grew up in the 90s, and like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was like my thing. I was like, right when that exploded, it was like right in my heyday. I was like, 6, 7 years old. And like now it's on Netflix. And I went back and watched it, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I should just leave this here and just remember the nostalgia of this, because this is not holding up as well as I was hoping.
And
Did you start all over the beginning? Did you start? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love talking about the Power Rangers, how I loved it, but how cheesy it was. I'm really good friends with Jason David Frank.
Oh,
awesome.
And we've chatted because we used to fly all the time together to go to the next con or to the next show and stuff. And him and what's his name? He's the artist for Marvel Zombies.
Oh, God, and that's.
Jeez, that's killing me because if he watches this, he's going to be so mad at me. We used to go and work out together. It's going to come to me. I'm bad with names.
I am too. It's okay.
And
it wasn't Robert Kirkman, was it? Or the art you said? Was it Sean?
No, the art.
Sean Phillips.
He did all the covers for Marvel.
Arthur.
Suidam.
Arthur, yes, okay. Arthur
Suidam or Suidam. Yeah, yes, thank you. It's like, Arthur's gonna be so mad if he doesn't watch it. He's like, really, bro?
I don't want to leave you hanging out there, man. I had to come to your rescue there for that.
Thank you. So,
no problem.
And we used to make fun of Power Rangers so bad. Every time before the show, we used to go work out in the morning at the hotels and stuff, and I was always like making like Power Ranger sounds when I was lifting weights or something, and he's all like, "Really, bro?"
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
What an awesome dude he is too. Like, I keep wanting to call him Tommy and not David, but just I've seen like what he does like with kids and what he does like on his cameo. I mean, he seems like an incredible guy. So that is so awesome that you guys are friends.
He's a really, really cool guy.
Well, you tell him he was my favorite Ranger, so just pass that message along.
Yes, the green and white Ranger. Oh man,
I used to play like an imaginary flute with like the Dragonzord like all the time when I was like in kindergarten and first grade. Like, come on, man.
Is he still trying to get his Bloodshot version off the ground? Do you know about that, or do you know if that's a thing? Or
well, I know he's doing the White Dragon.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I was just curious because I knew there was some backstory about him in Bloodshot that he had made that film before, if I'm not mistaken.
Don't know a lot about that. No,
okay. Just curious.
Huh? Yeah, that's something that I should ask. I'll text him.
There you go.
I was like,
I know you mentioned Batman, and I think in prior talks you're a big fan of his villains as well. Is there a particular Batman rogue that you're especially fond of compared to the? I mean, obviously, like Joker's like pretty much everybody's favorite, but besides him, is there one that stands out for you?
Bane and Deathstroke.
There you go.
Yes, Bane. There's to me, there's two types of Banes. There's the dumb, big, huge.
Brute,
yes, the brute. And then there's the Bane from South America that is super smart, but
that's also the one I like.
Yeah, I like them both. And I saw the new Bane that's coming out, and it's the smart one. Have you seen it?
Is it the one where Batman's in the mud?
No, that's the brute. But there's another. I believe Prime One is doing it. It's the South American Bane.
Oh, I gotta check that out because I love that version.
That is amazing statue.
Well, even the sideshow, like to me, that's one of the best premium formats they've ever done. Is that the Bane premium format? I mean, that thing
on the spotlight
is massive. Yeah, it is incredible. Where he's like stepping on the bat signal and like he's got the swap out. That is a phenomenal piece.
Yes. Oh yeah. I wanted to get that one, but if I got that one, I meant I had to get the premium format Batman. So it was between that and the XM Studios Batman, the Samurai.
Yeah. I love that Samurai line.
Jesus, there's so many.
I know.
There's just way too many.
I know.
So, what was the first statue that you ever bought? What was the first one that really kicked off this collection of yours?
Bowen. My first statue was a Bowen Hulk.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the Gladiator Bowen.
There you go. Those ones too. They're all pretty similar looking. Like they're all
the same.
They're the same ones.
It was like the base is the exact same shape. They're all standing the same pose, and and they even did I think Abomination, or they did some other ones that it was like the same stance and the same base and stuff. I forgot which one it was. But back then, when I didn't know a lot of people in the collecting business, I used to hang out with David. He was the owner of a comic book store back in Corpus, and I used to go there like 3 or 4 times a week, spend hours and talk about whatever comics that came out. And those talks like who would win and it's like between so and so and theories of a certain thing that was going on and stuff. But he started having these statues. But I mean, back then, $200 to $300 for a statue, that was a lot.
Yeah.
But now it's like, man, I wish it was that.
That price. Is a steal, right? It's like, what's wrong? Is it broken? Like, what is happening right now?
But it felt really cool. He's all like, hey, I got this Hulk Gladiator, and that's one of my favorite stories of World War Hulk, Planet Hulk, and then World War Hulk.
Definitely.
That was so freaking epic that I wish they would do a movie out of.
I know. We got like a little tease in Ragnarok, but not really.
Yeah.
They did an animated one. Did you ever check out the animated one? Even that still was a little bit lacking, I think. They didn't do it justice, but
because
at least it was more true.
I guess they didn't have the rights for Silver Surfer.
Yes, but they used Beta Ray Bill for that, didn't they?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Yes, it was Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, interesting. So it is what it is. Maybe one day we'll get it. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, so you word of the street is your wife kind of surprised you with a special statue. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that story? I think that's pretty interesting.
Yes. Well, when I did that interview for the Batman Cave, she watched it and she was like, she was kind of like in tears too, because it was an emotional time, where, I mean, we were both going to school, we were both working. There was hardly money to pay bills and stuff, just to pay bills, and there was nothing extra. And having two young kids and stuff like that, it was tough. So when this sideshow Hulk versus Silver Surfer came out, there was two versions of it. There was the collectors and there was the exclusive. And I remember the David from the comic book store, he got the collector's edition, and he sold it pretty quick. But he got a hold of the exclusive one, the one with the helmet and the hawk. So, and that's when I was like, bro, can you please hold it? Luckily, I was doing some DJing on the side, and there was a wedding, and they asked me, hey, can you DJ? And I was like, yes. And I was going to get enough money to purchase it, because I think it was only like $300. But like I said, it was so cheap back then. Yeah. But back then it was a lot. $300 was a lot of money.
Now it's shipping.
Yes. So he said, yeah, I'll hold it for you. I know you really wanted it the first time around, but it just went so quick. And I was like, just this weekend. And I was really excited. I couldn't stop talking about it. And my wife was like, oh my God, really? Stop talking about it. And I was like, no, but I'm just so excited. She goes, cool. So I did the wedding Monday. I believe they're closed. And so I went Tuesday, ready to go purchase it. And he was just staring at me like, I'm sorry, bro. And I was like, no. I was like, are you serious? And he goes, yeah, I sold it. So I was like, I was really mad. I was like,
you about went Hulk on him.
Yes. I was like, all right, you know what? I was like, I'm going home. And I did not go to the comic book shop for like weeks. Luckily, Christmas was just around the corner. And he called me a few times, and he's all like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. And I was like, I'm busy. I was like,
and your comics suck.
Yeah.
I was like, I am busy. But I was just angry.
Yeah.
But I mean, business is business, you know? So maybe he got offered more. That's the way I was thinking. And I was like, I'll get over it. And on Christmas Day, my wife played it off very well, because I say she can't like keep a secret. I know I can't.
I'm terrible at it too.
I am horrible. There's a lot of stuff that I've done with companies that is like, hey, you cannot talk about this. And it's like, okay. I'm like freaking Tom, or what's his name? Spider-Man, Tom.
Oh, Tom Holland? Yeah.
Tom Holland. And I just spill the beans. And it's like,
I'm the same way. Yeah,
so,
I'm the same way.
So she came with this big box, and I did not know what it was. But in the back of your mind, you're like, it's this big. So when I opened it, I was just like, just bawling.
I will do whatever you want.
Yes. I mean, and I felt so bad. I feel horrible, because I was so mad at David at the comic store. But I was like, it all just washed away. And I was all like, I need to call him after this.
You got to keep her, my friend. You got to keep her.
I love that story. Such a cool story.
I can't believe she's still with me. She keeps me around, because I was like, there's a lot of people, a lot of friends and people that I know, is like their wives won't let them do this.
Yeah,
but she's always let me do what I love, as long as I wash dishes and stuff. So.
Fair trade-off. Fair trade-off.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Now, obviously, you have like an awesome collection, and you're also run TJ Studio512. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about that, like what you do, and just some of the things that you work on?
Well, what started when I moved to Austin, I would say about 10 years ago. I was working at a middle school, but that did not last, because a big opening opened up at the high school, at one of the high schools here in Austin, and I was the school coordinator, and I loved it. I mean, I love working with kids. Yeah. But I was like, I always wanted to start my own business. I wanted to do stuff that I love. I was like, I love working with kids. but I also love art. I love comic book art. I love anime art. So I had a lot of friends that were really good artists, but they only drew for their friends and family and didn't make it as it was more of a hobby.
Mhm.
So at that time, Wizard World was coming to Austin, and I've never been to a Comic Con before. And I was like, you know what? I researched it. It's in a few months. So I purchased a booth for my friend. His name is Al Molina, really good artist. Um, and he lives in Corpus. So when I worked in radio out there, I try to help him out with whatever connections I had in radio. So, but it was mostly bars and businesses and stuff like that. Nothing like in the comic book industry. So we did our first Comic Con, and I still remember walking in, and it was weird. As soon as I walk in, and I remember I was wearing a Captain America jacket, and I had a Rey Mysterio mask, and
Nice.
it was a hoodie. And that was my cosplay because that's all I had. I mean, I was living at a friend's house because I was transitioning, trying to move my family from Corpus over to Austin. And at around that time, I sold, I would say, 3/4 of my collection to move them over here. But walking into this Comic Con, I still remember it was like I heard angels, and I heard it was like, oh. And I was like blown away because I mean, before they opened the doors, I'm in. I bought a booth there for my friend Al Molina, and the first person I see is Lou Ferrigno,
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
nice.
right in the middle of the floor, and it
Couldn't
was just
spot.
one aisle, and Lou Ferrigno was right there.
Kind of hard to miss. He's kind of a big guy,
Oh
huh?
yeah. Oh yeah, and I just went straight. I didn't hear anybody. They were talking to me. And they were like, "Hey, do you have your pass?" And I was like, "I didn't hear any of that." I just walked, and they're not gonna stop this 300-pound Mexican, big bearded with the mask and Captain America, you know. So I just went straight at, and I looked at him, and then he's like, "Hi, how are you?" And I was like, and I was all like,
Hulk.
yes, you're the Hulk, you're my Hulk. And I was like, I love you, bro. I was like, and I didn't know what to say. I geeked out. And then I remember these words he said to me, "You gonna buy anything?"
That is awesome.
I was like, yes, I will buy something from you. But I just wanted to come over here and pay my respects and say thank you for everything that you've done, you know? And he's all like, "Okay, cool. It was nice meeting you and stuff." And I was teary eyed, and I walked away. And was it CBS was there, and then they go, "Hey, can we put you like interview you and Lou Ferrigno?" And I was like, "Yes."
Wow.
So they go
Wow.
and ask him, and he's all like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "This is Tommy Gunn, and he's one of the biggest fans, and here's in Wizard World with Lou Ferrigno." And I was just like staring at him like this the whole time while they're interviewing us. And then he's like, "And you as a big Hulk fan, what would you ask him to do?" And I was like, "Put me in a headlock." And so Lou Ferrigno, and he goes, "I can't do that." And everybody kind of stopped and like, "Why?" And he goes, "I will kill you." Because you're just immortal. And I was like, kill me, I don't care. So
Oh man.
he puts me in a headlock, and then I just went, yeah. And then his famous words going, "How does that feel, baby?"
Oh, that is awesome.
That was epic. I still have that footage. I need to look for it.
Well,
Of that recording and stuff. It was amazing.
it's a great experience to meet one of your like, I guess like I'm going to term your idols or your, being a big fan of somebody and for him not to disappoint and to be so
Yeah,
cool. And
especially when they
Yes.
live
such a
up to like
great
what
guy.
you're hoping they'd be.
Yeah.
Yes, and I have become really good friends with him, where I was like, I know what type of person, and I'm glad he did. He's a cool guy. He's a cool guy, but as a celebrity, many celebrities sometimes like it takes its toll, and they kind of
Yeah.
get fed up because people just they don't respect. I
Right.
think that don't respect. So it's like if people have a bad experience, don't take it personal.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's a cool guy. He's a really, really cool guy. And I know that those are the main questions that you asked me. I don't know if I remember if I answered.
What all do you do with TG Studio?
Yes. So
Wow.
that,
For Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah,
Besides getting
that's
headlocked by
that
Lou
was really
Ferrigno.
really meant. That was really the
Yeah.
question.
yes.
Yeah.
So I didn't have TG. Well, I didn't have the TG company yet. Got the table. We had Al Molina display his stuff. I gave him a lot of concept art what to do because he had no clue what to do. And we came up with some really cool crossovers. I think one of them we did was Charlie Brown in DC costumes.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome.
And so he was all like, and that's been one of his best sellers. And you know, like Snoopy is the Flash, and he's hauling butt across the screen.
Yeah.
And all of them have their costume because they're going to cosplay at whatever Comic-Con.
That is epic.
So the Peanuts all dressed up. Very cool.
Yes.
I would totally buy that. Like, I gotta get my
Yeah.
hands on one of those. That is so awesome.
I'm pretty sure he still has the prints, and I think he sold the original. I need to check on that because that was his first one that he ever did for the con. But and it was a success. But while I was there, I started seeing other artists that they were doing commissions, and you know, commissions or your work, you have a value. You put time into it, and it's not cheap. It is not cheap. So it depends on what kind of artist. And this artist was really, really good that I met, and I was like, "How much for that oil canvas?" And he goes, $50. And I was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "No, artists, many artists, they're artists. They're not salespeople.
Right.
So they're shorting themselves a lot." So I was like, you know what? I think I could do something with this. So I started talking to a lot of the friends and talking to him and other artists, and I was like, so I started TG Comics 512. And with TG Comics, what we started doing is we manage those artists.
Gotcha.
And to get them to where they want to be, to the level they want to be, they want to work with a certain company. But we start going to the Comic Cons because they're not salespeople. So it's like, do you want to make $50 or do you want to make $500? You know,
Right.
It's like what? So, and I have a lot of ideas, but I draw myself, but up to a certain point. So we collaborate with with one another. So I started managing a few artists on the side, started going to the con, started them up from scratch. Once they reach a certain level, I go to the next artist and help him. And I was doing that. So I was you could say their manager.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't working for TG Comics. TG Comics was working for them. And I think the very first one, my art concept was used by Michael Bay for the Ninja Turtles. So,
nice.
Yeah. So the Ninja Turtles that you see in the movies with Michael Bay is my design.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Yeah. Oh, man.
So and it started with one artist that lives in Louisiana, and I told him, I was like, we need to start with the turtles. I have an idea. And he's like, I don't watch turtles. I don't know about turtles. I don't want to do turtles. And I was like, no, you'll see. And it opened a lot of doors for him. And later on, he's all like, you know what? Thanks. Because
I would say so.
If I did not listen to you, so I was like, none of this would have happened. I was like, that's what I'm here for, you know.
Right.
But we reached a point and it was like, you know what? I need to do this just for myself instead of going out and being somebody's representative. They represent TG Comics 512. So we started with Joaquin Zarate, his girlfriend Val Castano. They're here in Austin. Around this time when I was working at the shows, when you first start going to shows, I mean, you're not making enough money to pay a lot of bills. just to pay another flight, to pay for another show, to pay for more supplies. I was working part-time at Best Buy. I left the school industry part-time at Best Buy because they were really lenient with my hours and stuff. And I met Joaquin and Val there. And they were telling me, I was like, we're artists too. And I get that a lot. And I was like, oh yeah, you're Tommy. I'm an artist. And I get that a lot everywhere I go. I'm an artist. And I was like, cool. I like to see your work.
Yeah.
But I never saw their work. And then I continued doing my shows, and years passed. I stopped working at Best Buy. I went to go buy a mouse at a different Best Buy, and they were there. And then they go, oh my God, I haven't seen you in forever. We're still drawing. And I was like, yes, I'd like to see your work. And their work is phenomenal. It's just a lot of talent, and they're not being noticed because they're just working every day.
Independently.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? Let's do this. You're going to be the first to be representing TG Comics 512. And then from there, it jumped to more artists. So I have 5 artists, 2 colorists. Yeah.
Sweet.
That
I mean,
is
it sounds
awesome.
like you really did pay your dues with that. I mean, with the whole starving artist route, literally, you know what I mean? And then you guys have come up and doing what you're doing now is fantastic.
I love it. I love everybody in the team. We've done some during the quarantine. We did a live show where we had all the artists draw at the same time. I sacrificed myself in this video where if we meet certain tiers, I had to eat. I ate like 10 pickles while listening to Marvin Gaye.
Oh gosh.
I went bald.
I mean, how can you not? You got to go, pickles and Marvin Gaye, of course.
They go together, right?
Yes. I don't know. People want it. That was one of the suggestions. And he goes, yes, one of the suggestions, every time somebody buys a commission or whatever, you have to eat a pickle while listening to Marvin Gaye.
Love it. I love it.
Mom. Yeah, whoa. That is.
It was fun. It was fun, and that was the first time. I mean, that we did that live because it was always at the shows. I don't sacrifice myself,
Right.
but I mean, I do everything for them. I mean, we're a family, and everybody has their own style. So
Yeah.
it's like Joaquin has more of the realism. Val does the Galaxy anime. Lennon in Mexico, he's all anime and very comic style.
Mhm.
And
Gotcha.
there's Ram. Ram lives in the Philippines. He has really, really different style from everybody. So it's really cool where, hey, I need Ram to color my painting or my drawing, and we all jump across and help each other out.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
And whatever studio that asks us. So I know that right now we're doing a statue with Shogun Studios. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if y'all heard of Shogun Studios before.
I'm starting to get more familiar with some of these lesser known. So I've heard the name before, but I don't know too much about them.
Because I've always been familiar with. I mean, you got your Sideshow, and Sideshow has their own studios that they work with.
Right.
And when I went to Denver, that's when I was introduced to XM Studios, and then there's Prime One Studio. There's so many studios out there, but there's a lot of studios that don't have licensing, so they do a lot of custom pieces and stuff.
Right.
So I knew a lot of them. But 2 years ago when I did a show in Dallas, it was KamehaCon. So because I love anime too, that's when I found out that there was anime statues. And I was like, oh no, this is gonna be bad. This is going to
Honestly,
be.
it's I'm gonna open up the floodgates. I just did it with Star Wars. I was like, just DC, Marvel. I was like, I'm not gonna go. I'm not going in. And then I found the Darth Vader premium format for $200, and I'm like,
Yes.
well, now I gotta buy Kylo and Maul and all these guys too. So
yes,
sweet.
join the dark side.
Yeah, exactly.
Come to the dark side.
Literally.
Me, it was always Hulk, Bo and Hulk, Sideshow Hulks. It was nothing but Hulk, and I was like, that's it. I'm just gonna stick with Hulk because I know myself. I'm gonna start branching out and but I was like, I want a Batman and I want a Superman, and I was like, might as well. But when I found out about these anime statues, I was like, oh, no. I was like, okay. And I guess in a year or in 2 years, almost 2 years, I've collected over 100 anime statues.
That's how it happens.
100.
That's how it happens.
It,
It's like,
it was like it was my yes door opened because everybody who was posting on the statue groups and they're like, I have these 10 Dragon Ball Z statues. Yes.
Right.
Yes, yes. And my wife was like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with you?"
well, I don't know if this happens to you too. Every time I'm like, okay, like I got these on pre-order. Like once they come, like I'm done. Like I don't need it. And then Sideshow or whatever would be like, coming soon, blah blah blah. Like when they announce like, oh, like Daniel Bell's doing Silver Surfer, I'm like, oh damn it. I'm like, here we go again. Like
They're like the pusher,
yeah.
man. They're just like to you guys. They're just like, yeah,
They
just have another
just keep-
taste. It's just have another.
Like,
Yeah.
I need my next fix.
Yup.
Yeah.
I got this cheeseburger, man.
Classic
Absolutely.
film, man. Nice callback to that.
Absolutely.
So you've been telling us, obviously you're a big fan of comics and anime, as you mentioned. Do you have a favorite character that you would like to design statue-wise, or like a dream character that you'd love to do, or anything like maybe, talk a little bit
I can
about
tell
that.
he's got an
Share some
answer. I already
ideas.
saw him glow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of Dragon Ball. There's a lot of Hulk. There's a lot of Batman. There's a lot of Superman. TG Studios, and I am going to debut this here. I have not talked about it to anybody. I have not posted it on social media. We're in the works of designing our first statue for TG Studios.
Awesome.
I could say who it is, and it's the first one, and it's something that I love. Between comics and anime, there is an American anime made, and it was very popular. And I grew up watching it. I think I was already in my teens when it first came out. We're doing a Last Airbender.
Oh, very cool, dude.
Man, congratulations, dude. That is awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So there's no Last Airbender statues out there.
No, none. No.
Now
none.
I'm trying to. Right now we're working with Nickelodeon on a project that we've been doing for the last 2 years. And I can't say much about that.
Totally.
But I tell you, it's going to be on the VR.
So cool.
So yeah, if you put something that I said about Michael Bay earlier, you could kind of
that is fantastic, dude.
Yeah, you can kind of figure that out. So and I know that, I mean, like I said, there's customs and there's stuff that's licensed. I want stuff licensed, but I mean, your hands are tied sometimes.
Right.
So it's like, I want them to notice me. I mean, I'm not doing this for a profit. I'm doing this to have something to show. This is my resume.
Yeah.
This is a resume. So we're in the works, and yeah, this is the first time I'm talking about it. So yeah, it's going to be Aang from Last Airbender, and if it goes well, we're going to continue doing the line.
Well, first off, thank you so much for debuting that information here with us. That is so cool. And that actually segues to what I was going to ask. Could you walk us? Because I've always been curious. What is the process of designing a statue from an artist standpoint? What exactly do you look at different books and try and do your own twist, or kind of walk me through that process that you like to do?
Well, because it's something new that we started doing, and so we're learning ourselves. It's a learning process. So, but with the statue that we did with Shogun Studios is part of a group called NADA. It's North American Dragon Ball Alliance. And I met them at the Kamehacon. We've been designing a lot of coins for them, exclusive coins for the shows. So there's only 50 or 100 made and stuff like that. So we designed those. So when they came to me and they said, "Hey, can you design this statue of the character Goku doing the spirit bomb? Puts his hands up, the big ball comes up, but we want all the 4 characters on the left, 4 characters on the right, all giving their energy." So I was like, okay. So it starts off a lot with messaging back and forth. Okay, who's here? Who do you want there? Who do you want to stand there? His face expressions. Do you want clouds? Do you want energy? So how big is this statue? But it's difficult because when you're talking to somebody that lives in Japan, I mean, you're having your meetings at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
So it starts off drawing off the main character, then you build around that. I wish I could show y'all what it looks like. But I mean, as the steps, I mean, for us, I mean, it's drawing it, getting that approved. Then we have to do it 3D digital. So that way,
like a rendering. Yeah.
Yes. So you can see it in 360. And a lot of studios have been doing that and then showing it off and says, we're taking pre-orders.
Right.
And it's like, well, that looks nice, but does it look like, I mean, I want to see the real, I want to see the real deal.
Yeah. Right.
So from there, you could do 2 ways. You could do it your manual sculpting,
right,
or you could do it 3D print. So when you do a 3D print, you got your mold. From there, you start building it up. But it's pretty expensive because a lot of studios, I mean, they start off at $1,500 to $2,000 to just make the first prototype.
Right.
And you're paying the rights to that mold, you know?
Right.
So and from there, if the people show enough interest and stuff, you don't want to start off with a very large number.
Right. You want low quantities.
Yes. So just a low quantity. And then I don't like showing off, like I said, it's like the prototype before the prototype.
Right.
Because even myself, I was like, yes, that looks awesome, but I want to see the actual statue, and I want people to see the actual statue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a big process. I mean, you got so I pick what artist, who does what style. So I was like, okay, I'll talk to one of my artists and then my colorist, and then they put it together, and then I show that off to the other artist who's going to make it in 3D, from 3D to print in 3D, and then from there to do the mold. And the studios is the ones who take care of a lot of the molding and fixing and stuff.
Right.
And you could talk to a certain artist that will paint the statue, and I've seen some really good ones.
Yeah.
Some very talented artists that are from Singapore or China or whatever they're from.
Right.
But it's a long process. So in our project that we're doing with The Last Airbender is it's in its infancy stage. We have the sketches. We don't have the fully rendered art print yet. From there, we're gonna take it to do the 3D, digital 3D. So, but one of my good friends who painted. I don't know if you saw that I painted my Godzilla.
That's fantastic. It looks so much better. Like I love what you did.
So I'm glad that he was all like, dude, let's paint it. And I was like, okay. I was like, yes, let's do it. Because I can't remember his name. I talked to the artist who was originally going to paint it for Sideshow. And he is a huge Godzilla fan, Godzilla King Kong. And he was upset because he was doing another project and he wasn't able to do the Godzilla. So they gave it to somebody else, but they said, let's do a rush order. So he did. That's why it looked all great.
Yeah.
So he was upset because he was like, man, I wish I wasn't doing that other project. That way I could do that one and give it justice.
Do it justice, right.
Yeah. So he was supposed to paint it, but that was going to cost me an arm and a leg. But Jake Nguyen, I'm pretty sure y'all know him on the part of the groups and stuff.
I've seen, yeah.
Yeah, he lives near me. And
that's nice.
And yeah, it was weird how we met and stuff. I bought the Sume Genos for One Punch Man.
Oh, nice.
I'm doing this because I'm looking at the statue. like you can see it. Trust me, it's there. So I saw him posted on Rat Titan or something like that, and I was like, mine. And he goes, cool. We met up at a shopping center, and then we just became really good friends. So he has a lot of good connections, and the reason I'm ringing him up is because now he is part of TG Studios.
Nice.
Because he has a lot of good connections with these companies that make the molds and stuff, and he has the connections with the shipping too. So that way, a lot of Americans who wants to get the statue, I don't want them to pay $300 to $500 for this thing.
Right.
So $50 to $60, 100 max, you know. So
right.
he has those connections. So it's a group effort that everybody has their thing they need to do. Is like, I need to do this. Artists,
that is awesome,
and stuff like that. So it's been building up pretty cool. So
that's really cool.
So your question is like, what character? It's Aang.
There you go.
And I'm pretty sure you haven't seen any.
I have not. No, not at all. Not at all.
Now that I said that, everybody's like, I
know, right? Let me just right
this
now.
guy did it first, and we can't wait to see it. Obviously, promote the heck out of it for you. But it's funny you mentioned like Goku. As you know, you've seen like I portray Superman a lot with like cosplay stuff, and I always get people when they'll comment be like, Goku would kick Superman's ass, and I'm like. Like what? Like why do you gotta say that, man? Like come on. I'm like, I mean, what are you? I always just get so much crap from Goku fans, you know?
Yes, it's like Hulk and Superman. Who would win?
Yeah,
and Superman and Goku would be a really good fight. I have that statue.
Yeah, that's. I tell you what. If TG Studios makes a Space Ghost statue, that's another one no one's ever made it. I will pull my wallet out right now and be like, here's my card.
And for real, when we're having a meeting about this avatar, your Space Ghost was in the back of my head the whole time. And I grew up with Space Ghost. My wife and I, when we were dating, I remember when Space Ghost was coming out on Cartoon Network and
Coast to Coast.
Coast to Coast.
Yeah.
Which is on HBO Max now, which is so awesome.
It is?
Yes, it is.
Oh, my wife is gonna love that. Yeah, because she asked me, she goes, "Where can I watch these shows?" And
HBO Max.
Because you have Space Ghost, and then later on it became the Brack Show. And so it branched out, but Space Ghost Coast to Coast was phenomenal. That'll be really cool to do one of him sitting in the back of the desk and just chilling in the monitors right here, you know, the little
exactly.
Absolutely. Have somebody cool right there. But
I always said if you modernize him, he would be so cool with like Green Lantern and like the Lantern. I mean, you can do so many things. Like if you genuinely wanted to make him like a modern superhero, you know what I mean? I would kill for that.
He's hilarious. Yeah, the voice actor. I can't say we're really good friends, but we've met a few times and stuff.
Oh,
so he's always, every time I see him, he asks about my wife and stuff because I tell him the stories. Same like with the creator and the artist of Ren and Stimpy, because I grew up watching Ren and Stimpy. So so Bob and we became good friends, and my wife always thought that I'm the one who came up with the song, the Log Song. Because when we were dating, I always quoted Space Ghost. I always quoted Ren and Stimpy and stuff that I'm pretty sure you heard the Log Song.
Absolutely. I grew up with like Ren and Stimpy and all the Nickelodeon tunes.
It's been a while, but yes.
So when I told Bob, I was like, yeah, my wife thought I was the one who wrote it, who came up with that song because I always sang it. And recently we watched one of the episodes and it had the commercial for the Log Song, and she's all like, her eyes just went really big, and she goes, "Oh, they stole your idea." And I was like, no, I got it. I would have been like,
oh my gosh, they did. What cheers.
So he drew Ren and Stimpy and the horse going down a roller coaster, and it says, "No, sir, I don't like it." And then he wrote it to Tommy, the writer of the Log Song.
That is awesome.
That way he could give it to her, and she was all like, "Oh my God, y'all are silly."
That is awesome.
But really I have a really good story about Bob, and going between him and comic books. Really good friend of ours, Mark Texera.
The baseball player.
Yep.
Mark Texera is artist for Ghost Rider.
Okay, well there we got two Marks.
Yes, you're right. Yes,
I
you're right.
didn't know he was in the comics and stuff. That's cool.
Mark Texera is one of the original artists for Ghost Rider and Black Panther back in the days and stuff.
Gotcha.
And we did a show in Mexico, and Mark had a huge line. It was just going around the building and stuff, and he was just doing sketches and giving them to people and stuff. I mean, he was selling them, And I was like, man, you're gonna kill it. We went to dinner. It was Bob, Mark, and I, and a group other, and everybody was all like, bro, you were killing it out there. And he goes, yeah. And he's like, how many? And he goes, dude, I think I drew at least 200 to 300 little commissions for them. And I was like, how much were you charging? And he goes, 20 pesos. And everybody like looked at each other and 20 pesos. And he goes, yeah, I mean, that's not bad. $20 a piece. And I was like, no, man, that's $1, bro. He was so pale.
Oh my God.
Oh, God.
And he's like, are you kidding me? And I was like, dude, you're selling your commissions for $1 each. And still today we make fun of him.
Oh my gosh.
Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Yeah, like I would just call him clearance sale at all times after that.
Yeah.
I have a funny story about an artist. So I went to Raleigh Comic-Con and was fortunate enough to meet Neil Adams, and he signed a couple of my like prints and stuff, like a Green Lantern. And I asked him, I was like, you know, of all the superhero, like, do you have one that's like your favorite to draw? And he literally looks up and goes, I'd rather draw gorillas. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like, he's like, I like drawing gorillas. And I was like,
that's Neil.
I was like,
that's Neil. Neil, I've known him for so long. Him and his son and I are really good friends. Joel Adams.
Okay.
And if people don't know who Joel Adams is, he is the artist for King of the Hill, the animated.
Yeah.
He also did the Hulks, the animation, the Hulk, in early 2000s.
Yeah.
The one they show Abomination and
right.
Scar was there and She-Hulk and all that. And he also He also did Jackie Chan.
Oh, cool.
Oh, the Jackie Chan adventures today.
The anime, yeah, that's cool.
Oh, that's pretty.
So Neil Adams has always been like that.
Yeah. I didn't even know that was fun. I was like, oh, okay. Brother, can you please sign my Batman print?
Oh,
you mean Gleek?
I mean, he revolutionized Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did. He totally did. I mean, the 70s, he rocked that out. I mean, it was like cover after cover. And then, I mean, the artwork, he's responsible for making it sort of that darker, detective. And that when they got rid of Robin around that time also, it wasn't, or he decided to put him in, to age him up a little bit.
Yes, instead of
what I mean? And put him into college and kind of separated him. And yeah, that was a great time for Batman, that run. Neil Adams is fantastic.
Oh, Neil. So Neil, Joel, and Buzz Aldrin, not the astronaut. Buzz.
There's a lot of same names here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Buzz, he lives in New York, originally from China, but he works for Marvel and DC also. He's done a lot of really, really cool stuff. TG Comics, and then there's TG Studios. So TG Comics, we want to continue helping not just the artists that we're working with now. Like, there's a lot of artists like, I want to start going to the Comic-Cons. I want to start working for a certain company or whatever, but you have to start off somewhere. So what we're in the process also, and what put a halt to our project is the COVID-19. We're opening a studio. We're opening a studio. It's a comic book store. You could get your collection of comics, and you could get your novels and statues and stuff like that. But the TG Studio part is we're gonna have, because I've been a teacher pretty much my whole life, and I work with a lot of teachers. They don't get paid enough, but they love to teach. So I was like, you know what? You have a really good trade. People want to learn. So my artists plus the teachers that I know, we're going to be helping artists, not just art, but writers too. So we're going to have all the computers. We're going to have all the equipment. We have all that stuff. So once a month, I'm going to be bringing in a new artist. I know Neil Adams is one of them. He's waiting. His son, and big names like Frank Miller, Capullo, because we work with, I work with all these guys, and because I see them, Arthur Suadam, I see them all the time. so when they know what we want to do, so they're going to come in, and you could buy your tiers. You're going to take a class taught by so and so. So
That's incredible.
it's and we've been planning this for quite a while, but it's location. So in Austin, it's not cheap. It is definitely not cheap.
Yeah.
So there's all these obstacles, but we've been working really hard to do this, and it'll be a really cool place where you can learn, and we'll help new artists to start their way to get into the Comic-Con or Anime Con life. So we'll help them get the booth. We'll help them with the art prints and stuff. We'll print them out for them that way, because usually when an artist goes, it's like, okay, I have $300. This $300 is going to the table's like $250. I still have to buy merchandise. They go over there, and sometimes they don't even like make up what they spent. So then they leave, and they're like, well, yeah, it didn't go well, and I can't afford to go to another one. So we're going to be here to be helping them. So if they're part of TG Studios and TG Comics, and they become well known, whatever studio or business and stuff like that, if they want a certain design, they just look at a portfolio of all the artists that are going to be part of our studio, and they say, you know what, I like his art style. Can we use him for this concept or whatever? So
that's awesome. You got some heavyweights in there, man. That's awesome.
This Jim Lee's another one.
I've never heard of him.
What's he do? Yeah,
he might have a career someday. He's not bad.
No, so yeah,
he's unbelievable.
Yes, last time I saw him, he was all like, "Are you ready? I'm ready to go to Austin." I was like, "Not yet, bro. Not yet."
I would love to show him. I had I don't know if you saw on any of my social media. I don't know if you'll be able to see the background. We did Jim Lee cosplay picture of Batman, Superman. I would love to show him that picture. Like, dude, you're like the inspiration for so many of the pictures we did.
Oh, his art is
amazing. It really is.
I did get to meet him at I live in Northern Virginia, and Fairfax Comic-Con started about 2 years ago, and he was one of the artists. It was a really small one, actually, but he was one of the artists that was there, and I got 2 signed prints by him. He was just an awesome.
And he was packed. It's like his table's always packed.
Yeah, it was for sure. Yeah,
oh man, he's such a great guy. But it just is his art. Oh my God. The other artist that I really want to get is Kim Jung-gi. Kim Jung-gi has done some covers for DC and Marvel. This guy's amazing. When he draws, he's from South Korea. Okay. When he draws, he will draw a whole mural with a marker or with a brush. There's no sketching, there's nothing, and the way he does the depth of each character is just amazing. And it's just there's so much talent out there, but it's like it's hard to start off, and that's what we do.
Well, for someone who has trouble with snowmen and stick figures, I am totally envious. I can do the talking and the sales part of it, but art-wise, I'm like, I'm the guy that's like, can you draw this for me? Because I'm not. This is bad.
Yeah.
But, one of the last questions, then we'll get to. Obviously, your personal collection. We see all these bomb statues behind you. Do you have like 2 or 3 favorite pieces that you currently own in your collection right now? I know your showstoppers, that half-scale Hulk back there. But what are some of your personal favorites that you've had?
Oh man, Ghost Rider XM.
Oh yeah, that thing is unbelievable.
I don't know how they mastered to recast that thing, because there's so much detail on that thing. And I'm like, when I see some of the recasts out there, I was like, oh no. I was like, no, that's a different story. But Ghost Rider, I would say that's one of them that I really love. It is so big. The motorcycle's so heavy. The flames, everything is just. I would say that's like my number 3. My number. I'm going to stick with the comics, and then I'm going to go with anime.
Okay.
because
Totally fair. Totally fair.
it's so difficult. Number two, I would say it's that Batman Who Laughs.
Good
It
choice.
it's a grail. I mean, and it's hard to say because it's like, oh, it's because you just got it. And I was like, no, when you see this thing in person, that thing is gorgeous. It's
And
like,
for what you get, like you said, I mean, you get so much for the dollar with all the characters.
yeah, and it's just it looks so cool. It's a beautiful piece. Oh man, number one, it is a Hulk, but it is tough. Uh, I would say it's a tie between my ECC Hulk and the Halamal Hulk. ECC, that the one, both of those pieces that I have back there, if y'all see them, the top one is the ECC. Can you see it on the?
Yes.
Yeah,
He's
we
kind of
see.
like this. There you go.
There it is. Okay, so the top one, that is an artist proof.
Okay.
So the story behind that, I was in Phoenix, and it was funny because I was with Capullo, and at the time I was buying an original piece by Kim Jung-gi, and I was all like, oh, should I buy this and stuff? And one of my sales reps was in Florida. At the same time, we had two shows. It was Orlando MegaCon and Phoenix Comic Con, whatever they changed their name. And he calls me and he goes, "Hey, there's this booth and they have a Hulk." And I was like, "Okay." And he's always watching out for me. Like, and he sent me a picture of it, and I was all like, "Oh snap, that's an ECC Hulk. The real hair. That thing is. I've never seen it in person. I've seen it in pictures." And he goes, "Do you want it?" And I was all like, I'm good. I mean, because it was a pretty penny.
Yeah.
And then later on, he says, "Hey, it's an artist proof." And I was like, "For that price?" And I was like, "Go for it." And then he's all like, "Well, how do you think? How am I going to take this home?" And I was all like, "In your car." And he goes, "Trust me, bro. There is no way I could put this in my car. It's three
Oh, I
huge
know.
boxes." And I was like, "What?" He shipped them. And when I got them, I was like blown away at how big this thing is. I mean, it's a 1/3 scale. You're holding freaking Hulk like a toddler, like a.
Yeah.
Right.
That thing
It's
is
crazy.
huge.
And then you gotta find a place for the boxes, which is like the hardest part. It's like stacked to the rafters and just boxes.
Yeah, that's like $200 a month that I have to pay for storage to keep all my boxes.
Oh man.
It's crazy. I know I have to make a video of that because it's just a huge. I have like a 10 by 20 storage, and it's just, oh my god, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
This is an expensive
I
hobby.
know.
It is, but it's fun. It's fun. But I would say the two Hulks. One because I don't know. It's a Hulk and it's a half scale size.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, of course.
Nice, man.
But I have to fix him. He has a few little scratches under the pit and little cracks on the waist, but it's still intact. There's no breaks or anything like, oh my god, here's the arm, here's the leg. It's
Right.
just
Right.
chipping
Little
nicks and stuff like that. But I want somebody to fix that. But I know everybody's been going crazy. Every time I place a picture in social media, is like that whole because there's only 5. I think less than 5 made.
Yeah, well, I mean, usually I've seen like room tours and like I've seen some really cool pieces, but I'll honestly say, and I'm not like I like Hulk. He's not like one of my favorite characters in the world, but like watching yours the first time I saw that was the first time out loud watching somebody else's video in an empty room. And pardon my friend, I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "What is that?" I was like, "Oh my god!"
This is how bad it is. When before I moved here because I needed a bigger room to put all this stuff.
Right.
Every time I used to have like AT&T come over or whatever service for your house, a plumber, electrician, and I had when they opened the door and they come in right there to the left, it was the Hulk, and I would say 100%. They're like, you could see them just do this, and they're like talking about business and stuff, and he goes, "I'm sorry, can I take a selfie with it? And I was like, go for it, bro. And they're just doing this, and it's like, yeah, that's the guy working.
So they couldn't even finish the conversation with you, huh? They were just like, I gotta just take a pic. I gotta
That
take a
is
pic.
awesome.
I gotta take a pic. So yeah, he's been pretty popular.
Well, that's awesome, man. Real quick, we're gonna move. Let you go here in just a second. You talked about your statues, though, but I've got to ask you, about your. And I don't even know where it rates with you, but you mentioned Voltron in one of your videos that I've watched with some research. Are you a fan of Voltron? I'm a huge fan of Voltron. The statue there. Do you have many of them, or is it just like one that represents? Or I mean, I don't know. I had to ask it before it just popped in. I was like, before we go.
I have one the sideshow, the
Okay.
sideshow Voltron. I love Voltron.
Yeah.
In Mexico, we used to watch Voltron, Massinger, Silver Hawk. God, I'm
Silverhawks. That's the one like had the five guys, the bluegrass with the guitar and all of that. Yeah. I remember that.
Well, they used to wear these shiny suits, and they used to go in space and stuff like that. And I love mechs. I love Transformers. But Voltron, it's been one of my favorites.
Nice.
And I did not pick up the piece when it was first released, and because I wanted to see it for myself. Because if you get a Voltron that is a good maybe 15 inches, 20 inches, it doesn't give it justice. I want something massive.
Yeah.
So I went to Atlanta to Dragon Con, and I went upstairs before they opened the show, and I like to look around, say hi to everybody and stuff. And the studio who did the 3D print for the mold was there. And they had this piece, the mold there, and I was all like, my God, this thing is huge. And I was like, wait a minute, is this the real mold, the 3D? And he goes, yes. And I was like, for real? And he goes, yes. So I went downstairs, went to Sideshow, and it says, and it said, almost sold out. Or waitlist. No, almost sold out. And I just bought it on the spot.
Oh yeah, you're like, oh no, it's not.
Yeah, I'm not losing this one.
And nice. I have this because if you like Voltron, let me grab it, because I haven't shown this on many. I haven't shown it in my videos. I don't know if y'all know Tommy Castillo.
Name does not ring a bell.
Tommy Castillo, and he's done The Dark Side of Oz.
Oh, okay.
He's done a lot of big things with games and movies and stuff. Well, he passed away going on 3 years ago. So it was a huge impact in the Comic-Con world, because he's a really good artist. His bread and butter is Batman. So if you look at the Nightmare pieces, with Batman and the Joker, with the weird crooked teeth,
and like the bat wings and stuff,
that's him.
Okay, yeah. Oh, he's really talented then, because that's such a cool take.
So when he passed away, his wife continued going to these shows in respect of Tommy Castillo, but she was how they got married. She was one of his students, and became his intern, and became part of his team when he went to the shows, and they got married. So when I saw her there at Dragon Con, and I told her, I was like, I just bought the Voltron. And she's all like, and she started doing Gundam drawings, because she loves Voltron, she loves Gundam. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to commission you, because it was rough times for her and her family and stuff because of the death of Tommy Castillo. And I was like, I will commission you a piece I could put with my Voltron.
Oh, that is awesome.
Oh man.
Wow.
That is freaking cool.
Dude, that is awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
So I know that the new Voltron for Sideshow is from the Netflix series. It's a little bit more roundish.
Right.
But I like the original, more boxy and square. So I told her, I was like, can you paint this? And she did it with the acrylic, oil, spray paint, she just went crazy on it. But I don't know if y'all could see it very well.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, that is
comes out pretty good.
awesome.
I love it. It looks great.
That is spectacular, dude.
She
Big fan of Voltron here. Definitely thank you for sharing that, man. I had to. It just popped in before we were about to close it out, so my apologies on that one.
Sorry, bro. I could be here for hours. I have so many stories.
Oh, I'm sure. We will definitely have to have you back for sure.
Oh yeah,
and I can't tell. Yeah, I mean,
on and on, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and what I can honestly say, like, dude, your story and like everything you do, like, is truly like awesome.
I appreciate it.
We would like to support you any way possible, and if you guys listening, you know, are interested in any of these work or just checking out his stuff, where can they find you on social media, or, you know, TG Comics, some of the artists that are out there?
Sure. We have a website. It's tgcomics512.com. It's tgcomics512.com. And social media is tgcomics512 or TG Studios512. The TG Studios only have it through my YouTube and my Facebook, but my Instagram is all tgcomics512. So yeah, and on our website you could check out all of our art. You could meet all of our artists, all their styles and stuff, and they're so talented. They're definitely so talented. And I know we need to leave, but here, really quick, where's it at? Where's it at? Earlier when I was talking about Joaquin, and I'm pretty sure y'all seen it. Here, look.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
Yep. I have seen that before, but it's freaking incredible.
Dude, I got to get that print. I got to get that.
This one's in a canvas and it glows. And then there's a...
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Dude.
I just got these in today for one of our fans and stuff that purchased these canvases. So I got to go take it to him.
Well, you're about to get a second one here as soon as we log off of here. We will definitely have to have you back on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, for sure. And while you're at it, you know, check out our website as well, www.comiccollectorsguild.com. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube. And we appreciate you taking some time to listen to us. Lee, it is a pleasure as always having you, sir.
Yes, my friend, it's been a fantastic time. Tommy, really appreciate you coming on the show. We could just go on and on, as you said. It's been fantastic, and looking forward to speaking to you again.
Jake Lee, thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.
All right, guys, keep hunting, and we'll talk to you soon.